Yo, Mr. T, Major, welcome back, my friend. How are ya? Just realized all the lights are
What's
going
up,
to
my
turn
brother?
color in here. Check that people are gonna love this. Alexa, set the office white. Ta-da! Now everything is lined up. I might be a little overexposed. Welcome, everybody. Really excited about this third call. Uh, the last two have just been incredible. The amount of positive feedback we've been getting T has just been phenomenal. Once again, I'll apologize for the blue blockers, but where I am, it is long after sunset, so that means no blue light for me. If you can hear us and see us, let us know in the comments. I see Brant is in there, which is great. I see a lot of you
Boom.
logging in. Hopefully, our email went out. I sent an email to 70,000 people to come visit us in this broadcast, and I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity right now to share it as well on all of our
Nice.
various different Facebook properties. Um, all right, Caroline is here. Welcome, welcome,
I
Caroline. And
just started a watch party on my page, so you guys, if you're
perfect.
joining us from Team Major Fitness, welcome.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. So I'm not actually sure which one is which. There are so many lives here
Hmm.
that I'm not actually sure. I'll have to go based on what I'm wearing. That's number two. Where's number three? Hmm. That's strange. Can't find it. Well, anyway, I will share that once we get into it. T, why don't we get started as people come in? Welcome Caroline, welcome Trevor and Doa. As people come in, why don't we share just a recap of kind of all the things we've been discussing and all the things we've learned over the last 2 days, and then we'll talk about where we want to go today. I'll let you take center stage.
Yeah, so the first chat we had was just on establishing a strong mindset during these terms of during these times of so much um, turmoil, and not really knowing when things are going to return back to normal. So at least the messages that I've been getting are people that are stuck in the house, quarantined or social distancing, can't get to the gym, don't have the normal resources. So that's a real issue to deal with. Everybody's dealing with. So we've been sharing. At least I shared. You shared some of your techniques and some of the things that you've been doing to alleviate some of those
Yep.
issues. Then we went into the second one, which was really a lot of fun. We talked specifically about workouts, about designing your own routines at home, what is HIIT training? How can HIIT training impact your fitness level, strength, cardio, core? We talked about and helped a lot of people with focusing on strengthening their core to alleviate a lot of the problems that they've been having.
Right.
That was a lot of fun
And the
to discuss that.
customization component as well. Like we talked once we built that whole mindset thing up and talked about how to get the motivation, how to get the mindset in place, how to get the like energy drive. I mean, because I think you and I were both surprised when we did that survey. Like the number one
Mm,
thing people talked about was not I don't know what to do. It was motivation, it was laziness, it was,
yeah,
energy. So once we got that out of the way, then we were able to go into like, okay, how do you customize, right? Because one person wants to train for a marathon right now. Another person was paralyzed from the chest down. And so we really got into, and I guess this is all an encouragement to go back and watch the last two broadcasts. We really got into like, how do you make this work for you so that you are not
yeah,
dependent on anyone? Because right now, we don't know how long this is going to be until you're able to go see a nutritionist, personal trainer, coach, physiotherapist, So
that's
how do you
right.
make it work for you?
That's the real benefit of going live like this, right? And connecting with people in real time because
Yes.
you can answer things and questions in real time. And I'm happy that we were able to help a lot of people, and I'm hoping we do the same today. Today, we want to talk a bit about nutrition and
Mm-hmm.
how that is a struggle for people, if it's a struggle, or how do you exceed or thrive beyond your normal expectations, even in these austere conditions that we have right now.
Right.
So I'm excited to talk about this with people.
Yeah, and I hope
We'll
people will
see what
stick
kind of
around to
questions they
the
have.
end because I'm going to give them a sneak peek of something we've never showed to the outside world and let them know how they can continue learning with us coming next week. And we're going to make a really, really a sneak peek of a very, very special offer that you and I feel is the right thing to do. It's the ethical
Yeah.
thing to do, which is just get this program that we've never made available to the wider public and make it available to everybody at a price that everybody can enjoy. So let's recap a little bit around the big picture and the idea for those. There are some people in the chat like Epaphroditus, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from the Netherlands, who say they've been following you for years and years and years. They're really glad to finally get onto the broadcasts. So what's the big picture here, T? Like, let's recap the opportunity here for people to, I mean, we've said it so many times, but not just maintain, but exceed their fitness goals. Use this time as a time to like really focus in and actually do better than they were doing before. Now that they don't have to commute to the gym, now that they don't have to spend money on a personal trainer, and talk a little bit more about that, if you would.
Yeah, I think, it's this like coronavirus has thrown a lot of the world's normal routines for a loop, but it's a chance to reset for a lot of people if they view this as an opportunity to do so, right?
Yes.
You have more time now. You literally have more time. You don't have to commute back and forth to work. You don't have to commute back and forth to the gym. So you have more time with family and you have more time to focus on yourself if you prioritize those types of things.
Yeah.
So that's the real opportunity, right? Is to be able to take the power back for once in your life, right? Is you don't have Big Brother and all of these dictating terms over your head saying what you should do or what you have to do. Now you have a bit more flexibility to determine what it is that you should be doing and that you want to be doing. So that's the real opportunity now, right? But what do you do with that opportunity? Do you squander it and do you let it go to waste, or do you actually grab it, and run with it? So
totally,
that's what we've been discussing, right? Is if you have the correct knowledge, you could really empower yourself to be your own personal trainer. You can be your own physical therapist. You can be your own nutritionist, because the knowledge is out there. That's exactly what we're here to do, is to share it. And put it into a very simple and easily digestible package for people. Cut out all the bullshit, cut out all the nonsense, and just give it to people straight. And I think that a lot of my followers, if they're on here, they can attest to it. That's how I built up my following and how I built my business. It's just, let's not get too overly complicated with it, right? Let's just give the information to people where they can digest it and they can apply it, because it's the action that matters, right? Men's Health does it. Well and Good does it. Team Major does it.
Right.
Chef Nipper does it. Everybody, we're all trying to give you the best information possible, but it's the action that's going to make the difference. And that's what we want to push people towards. Give you that little nudge forward, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Power to do it.
Absolutely. And this is about self-empowerment, right? It's like when you and I started working together on this program that we're going to tell people about later, my goal, I felt like what we were there to do was very in line with your book, Urban Calisthenics, which is like, people don't need another fitness expert. What people need, it's the same thing when I talk to functional medicine doctors today on the podcast, or I talk to, nutrition experts or whatever it is. They all go, the health expert of the 21st century is you. Like, we all need to be educated enough about our own health to be our own advocate, in the same way that like people today don't just go down to the local stockbroker and go, here's my money, do whatever. Like, this generation is expected to know and make their own smart investments, because they saw what happened in 2008 to their parents.
That's right.
Who told the stock, the what's it called, wealth manager, hey, just do whatever with my money. Like, we are expected to be our own personal finance guru and learn from others, but then do it ourselves. And I expect the same from every single person in my audience. I never tell them what to do. I present them the information. I tell them what I do. And then I say, go out there and figure out, like what nutrition works for you. You need to be educated to make your own smart decisions, and also restrict yourself to the things that make you feel healthy and superhuman.
That's it, man. That's it. And then what we can do is just be vessels or tools to help guide people towards that information and to help keep them on the straight and narrow path, right?
Yes.
Help to decipher and shuffle through the BS and the nonsense out there, filter it out, and just give them what's essential.
Right.
And at least that's what I try to focus on. If you look at any of my content on my website, if you look at any of my programs, it's very specific, right? You want to lift weights, you want to get mass, here it is. You want to do just body weight training, here it is. You want to burn fat, here's a program for it.
Right.
and I think that that's, at least in my opinion, that's what my public and my following has valued.
Yeah.
In the form of in reviews, you can see it. They appreciate it, and
Yeah, and
that's what I appreciate whenever I shop for services.
I'm the same way as well. I'm just trying to use my watch to turn off this light that is overexposing me. I'm the same way. Here we go. Desk lamp. Isn't that crazy that you can control lights from your watch in this day and age? Um,
Welcome to the future, man.
I know. The other thing I want to be clear with people about is this is not just for COVID-19. This is for
Yeah,
life. Like, I just was telling my wife today, we got out of bed this morning. First thing we did was work out. And my knee, my knee, you've seen my knees, like how they're physically shaped. My knee was giving me like massive trouble. And I
mm,
was just like, go ahead and start without me. And then I did some like voodoo banding stuff that I
yeah,
learned along the way. Someone didn't, instead of going to a physical therapist, I super learned all this shit about all this stuff about, flexion gapping and how do tendons behave and what is
yeah,
joint flexion and all this other stuff. 3 minutes later, I'm doing squats, weighted squats. Perfectly fine.
yeah,
And I was just like, it's crazy to me, babe, that for 10 years of my life, I was dependent on someone else. Like, I would have been out for like 2 or 3 days because my knee hurt. I mean, it like under the kneecap hurt. And like 3 minutes
yeah.
later, I just did some basic maintenance. And that's the empowerment that I want to give to people, whether it's mobility, whether it's strength, whether it's cardiovascular, or today, what we want to talk about, which is nutrition. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want people to need a nutritionist, you know?
I always told my client, like when I was doing one-on-one personal training, like in person, like from the first day, what I tell them is, listen, I want to give you the tools to where like, I know we're both enjoying this
Yeah.
and you want to be a lifetime client, but I don't want you to
Yeah.
be a lifetime client.
I
I'm
agree.
not interested in having you for life. If I do have you as a lifetime client, then I'm not doing my job.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
uh, that's the approach.
So let's lay down the law on nutrition here. And when I say law, I say that jokingly because I think there is variance. And
Yeah.
even the people, I mean, I've interviewed, I think at this point, just about every respected and legitimate nutritional expert there is. Like, there are some quack doctors that I've
Mm.
not interviewed, but I've interviewed them all, like the Lauren
Please
Cordains.
interview them.
Oh, yeah,
Please do.
absolutely. Uh, I've interviewed the Lauren Cordains, the Rob Wolfs, the Pearl Mutters. One of the only ones I haven't interviewed is Michael Pollan, which he's not a quack. He's a great guy. I've
Yeah, yeah,
interviewed
yeah.
the Wheat Belly guy. I've interviewed Chris Carr. I mean, I've probably interviewed 50 nutrition experts.
Wow.
And so while I have no formal education in this, I have taken some college level nutrition courses, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what people should be doing based on the leading researchers and what they have to say. Tell me about your thoughts on nutrition. You and I see almost entirely eye to eye based on your
Yeah.
real world experience training clients and my, podcast world and research experience.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I think we really connected on this because we have the same motto that we tell to our clients or to our
Right,
students or
right.
our people that follow us is, if God made it, eat it. If He doesn't, then don't eat it.
It's really
It's
hard to
really
argue with that,
that easy. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and
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 whether you believe in God or not, or you're religious or not, most people can understand that, and it just hits you right where it's supposed to, where
yeah,
you go, oh,
and it's
yeah.
that.
And then you can imagine, you can go ahead.
No, sorry, go after you.
Yeah, and you can, and like, if you hear that and you tell people that, you can immediately see the wheels turning, and they start thinking about how much shit that they already had in the beginning. Sorry, stuff that they already had in the beginning of the day. That, yeah, this didn't come naturally from any source. Like, it's
Right,
completely man-made. It's put together, manufactured, process, whatever term you want to use.
right.
So it's an impactful statement, and yeah, that's why I think, really vibed on this subject of nutrition, is because is really that easy.
Yeah, the hearts just started coming in. Give us hearts or feedback if you guys like what we're talking about, or I don't know if you can give us bad feedback if you don't like what we're talking about. I want to explain like why this
Thick and
resonates
firm.
so much with me is you can approach it from all the different reasons, right? The paleo reasons. We can talk about insulin resistance. We can talk about gut inflammation. Like, I can talk about that stuff. And I
Yeah,
can talk about the health of the villi in your small intestines. And we can go there
right.
if people want to go there. But
Probiotics, prebiotics.
but I
how
don't want
your
to go there
immunity
because
lives in the gut and exists. Yeah,
it's
it's a
and I
lot.
encourage people to go that deep, right? If they're interested.
Mm,
But I think giving people the simple tools, again, it's about empowerment, right? Like the
that's right.
simplest tool that I know is just showing people we've been around. We parted from the other African great apes 7 million years ago, roughly, and we've been in this rough format for 1.5 million years. So that is whatever, as close as we can get. And I acknowledge a banana didn't used to be this big, and it didn't used to have 450 calories. And I know that a strawberry used to be this big, and mangoes used to not be sweet, and all that other stuff. But as close as we can get to millions of years of evolution versus roughly 10,000 years of eating wheat, oats, quinoa, barley, buckwheat, all that stuff. It's not that these foods are like inherently evil and that Kellogg is an
Right.
evil corporation. It's just your body's not meant to eat it. Your body's also not meant to eat dairy that is not human dairy, and it's not meant to eat dairy after a certain, so it's just very simple. Like,
That's right.
has your body adapted to these foods or not? You know?
I know. I got a lot of frowns, especially when I was training in the military, because they have an abundance of food on these bases, and you just walk around and you see people ingesting dairy all the time. And
Yep.
again, I'm not vilifying dairy, but um, when people ask me, "Oh, should I have cheese? Should I have milk?" I just have, "Are you a cow?" I just ask them that, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Well, no." I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, cow's milk is made to take an infant calf and grow it to a 2,000-pound beast. What do you
Yeah.
think it's doing to your little human frame?"
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Not
So,
to mention
yeah,
when they pump dairy cows full of hormones and all that. Like,
yeah,
again, we can go down this route of like what's being put in food these days. We can go down the route of topsoil depletion and why you should eat organic stuff. But
what
I
the
don't think we need to go
agricultural
there.
industry is doing to the
The planet.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So,
I think and here's the thing. Here's the other thing that I tell people: like, there's one nutritional expert. He's the pure starch diet, which I will not have this. He wanted to be on our podcast, and I just said no. On the odd chance that one person buys into this, because he's the only nutritional expert ever who I've heard we should not be eating so many leafy green fibrous vegetables. And I was like,
um,
it's hard. I mean, just think about, okay, fine. Like we can talk, there's the vegan argument, the vegetarian argument, there's the ecological argument, there's the hormone argument, like all those, but you'll never hear a nutritional expert say eat less vegetables. Like it'll never happen. And that's what we're saying, right? Like
yeah,
if it comes out of the ground or grows on a tree, it's probably pretty good for you. Now, again, I try personally to avoid eating tons of like sugary pineapple, mango. Like
yeah,
I have that knowledge to know, like, did I do an intense enough workout today to justify eating a banana
mm,
as an example, or a
yeah.
sweet potato? But that's finite, and we get into that kind of stuff in the course. That's the next level up, right?
Yeah, I think like for a lot of people listening, it's important to understand that there's a difference between clean eating and then performance nutrition. I think that most people are going to fall in the category of just wanting to eat clean, right?
Yeah,
You don't want to be too restrictive. You don't want to put a label on what type of diet that you're following. You just want to
exactly,
know what are the best things that I can do to be healthy and to feel good in my body and to thrive and to
exactly.
be, and then you have performance nutrition for people that, work out hard or athletes that are trying to take it to the next level, right? Trying to actually optimize by burning more fat, gaining more muscle. These things, yeah, this is two different segments which we go into a lot of in the course,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
for the sake of today, I guess we won't get too sciencey and go too
We
far
can
in
do that
depth.
on the podcast.
Yeah, let's do that.
So Brant has a really great question that he submitted, which is some foods aren't problematic, but what about things like cheese that I find addictive and I perhaps should be letting go? How do I break those kinds of food addictions? And this is a great
Uh,
question, and one that I've
yeah,
been
man.
struggling with as well as everyone else. During
Yeah.
this time when you're at home, our rule up until this point, when we could get whatever we want, we now can't get eggs in Israel. It's like a
Oh
thing.
no,
Yeah, no
really.
eggs, and like some of the fresh fruit has been a little picked over. But my rule
That's
is
when I
just
would. That's when I would pull it out and just because I
right.
love eggs, man. I can't live without eggs.
Love eggs. So my rule is I just don't bring it into the house, and
Yeah.
I do a similar thing. I just blurred up. I do a similar thing at restaurants. Like I know if it comes to the table, and then granted, if I'm eating with someone else, I'll just like they do their own thing, right? But I know if it comes to the table, I've already lost. Right, the
Yeah, for
battle is
sure.
lost. If it's in front of me, it's lost. And this isn't like me with a limiting belief around my willpower. I don't have willpower. This is me just knowing how psychology works and how the human brain works and how the reptilian brain is more deeply rooted than my mammalian Homo sapien brain going, oh, I probably shouldn't. So I just tell the waiter, I'll be like, hey, that comes with bread. Can you not bring the bread? And if they bring the bread anyway,
That's
I'll
it.
just ask them, can you take the bread back? Because if you put that plate down, I'm going to eat it. And
Yeah,
why put myself in that situation? So my wife is right
that's
now
exactly
trying
right.
to load up on calcium for hopefully one
Mm.
day having kids in the near future. So there's cheese in the
Good
house.
on you, man.
That's
Cool.
been
Very cool.
hard to have cheese in the house.
Yeah.
But she's a free woman to eat whatever she wants. But that's been my rule. I don't bring that stuff into the house. How do you do it?
Yeah, man. I think that that's important that you touched on that because that's the exact answer. I mean, and Brent used the word addiction. So if you look at addicts, meth addicts or anybody else, the way that they absolutely treat it is they have support groups. One, which
Right.
we are your support group, and then two is they absolutely avoid the places, the people, and the things that are concerning that addiction. So
Right.
yeah, you got to keep it out of your house. You got to stay out of that aisle in the grocery store. You got to keep away from the farmer's market that has the cheese on sale because as soon as you step up and you try the little sample of the guy at the
You've
farmer's
already
market,
lost.
it's done, man. It's done. I'm guilty too. Seriously, I live in Berlin, so there's just amazing artisan cheeses all over the place from Europe, and it's just, yeah, it's
Now,
torture.
do you do
So
a cheat day? I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Like, do you do a cheat day or a cheat meal?
yeah, what I do is like every other couple of days, and I'm not a sweet guy, but I like whiskey, so I'll
Mm,
have a nightcap, every 2 or 3 like every 3 days or so. I have a little nightcap, and that keeps me
mm.
sane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
found that.
cookies, cakes, ice cream, not me.
Oh, interesting. I like that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm more like I'm a carb. Like if I were to just eat whatever I want, it'd be like pasta all the time, right? And
pasta is great.
I
Yeah.
found that when I was very, very strict, I listened to Tim Ferriss who said like have a cheat day. One, because you want to like get your, and I'm not advocating people pig out. Like I used to go really to the extreme with it, but it makes it a lot easier. Like if you give yourself like one meal a week where you can indulge, you're gonna limit the
Mm,
exposure a little bit because how much can you really eat in one sitting of whatever this food is? And the
yeah.
other thing is like in studies of willpower, people can read Kelly McGonigal's Willpower Instinct. I think it's called the Willpower Instinct. She talks about people who are forced to delay gratification even by 10 minutes. If you want the chocolate and you go, okay, cool, I want the chocolate, and right now it's 8:15, I have to at least wait till 8:30 to have the chocolate. They
Mm,
ate significantly less, and if you can delay to the end of the week, you'll probably forget about it anyway. So it's not now. It's not now, not no, and that
yeah,
helps as
that's a
well.
cool
If you
thing.
if you gotta have it, if you're like I don't want to live a kind of life where I can't eat cheese, I respect that. I like cheese a lot. Like if you're gonna do it though, just have it be. So my like cheat meal, my mother-in-law cooks like you would not believe on Friday nights when we're not in quarantine, and that's my cheat meal because she cooks, and then my wife's first cousin runs a pastry business. I'm like, that's my one
Oh,
cheat meal. Like, I'm perfectly set up, and then I just keep it there. It stays at that dinner table.
yeah.
So
You have
I
more
will. I
comments?
yeah. One about my mic volume, which I'm gonna fix right now.
Yeah,
Thank you for
cool.
letting me know about that.
I like the
And
sound of your voice, though, brother. So
oh, thanks, man. It's this studio, you know. Here we go.
yeah, you have
Sound.
great sound quality in the studio there.
Yes, sir. All right. So Trevor says I used to have a sugar addiction. I had to give up
Mm,
sugar for a year to get rid of cravings. I severely limit sugar to special occasions, but that's 7 years later. Yeah, that's a real thing because if you let me quickly adjust my input here. Input volume. All right,
yeah,
that should be better for folks. All right, great. If you limit these foods, it takes a long time for your insulin reception to adapt. It takes a long time for your serotonin and dopamine receptors to adjust because you're used to getting
Yeah.
stimulated here. And even a tomato, not a tomato, sorry, a strawberry, which is pretty sweet, is going to bring it up to here. Whereas like a Twinkie's up here. So you got to get to a
Mm.
point where your reception comes down. I was just watching an awesome TED talk about how this works.
I just read an interesting study about, yeah, like how caffeine can actually cause long-term damage if you've been addicted to it for so long, to your central nervous system. So I'm sure that sugars and all of these other drugs are pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Someone wants to ask, this is a long question, so I'm going to summarize it as, how do you eat healthy food on a budget? And he talks about like it's great. I see people buy Organifi when they live in the US. We're not necessarily talking about Organifi and Ambronite. I love Ambronite because it is all whole foods. It's just a bunch of veggies and stuff ground up, although there are oats in there, so I try not to eat it too much. Um, but how can you eat healthy on a budget? And I would just say, are fruits and vegetables affordable where you live? Because that's kind of all I mean, that's mainly what we're advocating, right? I think
Yeah,
you
you
and I
know what
both don't
though?
eat that much meat. I mean, I
Right.
used to eat a lot more. Let's put it that way. Most of my vegetables my 70% of my plate is vegetables at this point.
Yeah, for me, I mean, my wife is even a less of a meat eater than I am. So for us, it's probably 80-20. I mean, we actually have most of our meals are vegan or vegetarian, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I don't even notice. But yeah, balling on a budget from the nutrition end. This is, I think, like a misconception because people think healthy and they associate it with expensive, but that's not,
right.
especially not the case. In the United States, I have noticed that the price differentiation in between Europe and the United States,
Yeah,
it is more expensive in the States, especially where I live, California or on the East
right.
Coast. Um, but for the most part, if you stick to the outer aisles of a grocery store, that's where all the goodness is, right?
That's true.
That's that's my trick. You just don't go down the center aisles. That's where all the frozen foods are, where all the
Yeah, it's
pizzas and
so
all the
true.
TV dinners. So just stay on the edges. That's where the produce is. That's
Yeah.
where all your yogurt and So stick around the edges, and you'll notice that your grocery bill just goes down automatically. I promise you that.
It's so true. And I think again, people think when they think healthy, they think you've got to go out and buy like organic protein powder. That's like healthy of 1980s, right? Like I
Mm.
rarely will consume stuff like protein powder, and if I do, it has to be made from bone broth, not whey
Mm.
powder, like not chemically engineered stuff. I want bone broth, or I want like just egg whites in powdered form, like
Yeah.
dead simple. Again, if God made it, eat it. If man made it, which is like way isolates and all this like crap. It's like I don't want to eat that stuff. Um, and again, like there, of course, if you're really on a tight budget, there are some vegetables that are going to be more expensive per calorie, right? Like stay away from celery if that's your issue, but you can get amazing
Yeah.
amounts of calories in like sweet potatoes instead of eating pasta, you know.
Yeah. Right.
And
And what you'll find is, you know, you have to get creative when you start buying produce and we start buying these things that have an expiration date.
right,
And when you start to get creative, you start to find out how versatile these foods are and how many things you can do with them, right? Like I love sweet potatoes too. You can bake them, you can mash them, you can do so many things with them. You can fry them,
yeah,
but although
soup.
I'd never fry
Make a
them.
killer red soup or brown orange soup we call it, like a
Yeah.
orange. It's all the
Yeah,
orange
actually,
stuff.
my wife juiced a sweet potato the other day along with some other
Nice,
stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
nice. So if
Yeah,
there are
so
more
yeah,
questions,
hopefully that
people can
helps.
hit us in the chat. We love the questions. Keep them coming. I do want to give people uh, a little bit of an insight into kind of what we are going to be putting up on Monday. It is not available right now. So in case anyone asks, like there's nothing available for sale at this moment. But we'll give a little bit of background kind of on the whole situation. So um, must have been now 6 months ago. 6 months ago,
Yeah.
I reached out to you and I was like, T, you're this amazing expert. Hundreds of thousands of people follow you on YouTube. Has anyone in urban calisthenics, you had told me in the podcast interview, like, the publisher gave me a deal. They specifically told me we want a book on calisthenics. And you're like, I got so much more. I got so much more that I want to give. And they told me the book
Yeah.
has to be this thick and only about calisthenics. And I was like, what if we did a course? Like, that's my expertise. Obviously, I'm the learning guy. You're the fitness and exercise and nutrition guy. I was like, well, what if we just took our proprietary 8-step method that we've used to work with some of the world's top thought leaders and also build some of the world's top courses, and over 400,000 enrollments, paid enrollments in our courses. I was like, what if you and I spend a couple months working on writing this thing, getting all your knowledge out in a way where people can just become independent, right? Like, work yourself out of a job, and then
Yeah.
I'll fly out to Berlin for a week and we'll just record the hell out of this thing. And we did.
Yeah.
We recorded for days. We rented I think probably one of the biggest studios in Berlin to make it happen. And then
Yeah.
we only made the course available to your highest end clients and my highest end clients to beta test it and pilot it. Now, we were going to only make this course available to people uh, in roughly around the summer, probably like
Mm.
June, July, and it was going to be a lot more than it is now. And you and I touched base about 2 weeks ago and said, hey, people need access to this thing because the course is
Yeah.
literally, I lovingly call it, this isn't the actual name, but I lovingly call it the missing manual to the human body,
Hmm.
because it teaches people not only the mindset, not only gives them the tools and templates to make their own workouts, but actually tells you, like, how do you maintain your muscles and ligaments? How do you uh, how do you handle nutrition without needing to get a degree in nutrition? How do you handle strength, and what's kind of the background on hit training? It just goes deep without getting technical and sciencey for people who don't want to get technical and sciencey, and it gives people the research if they want to go deeper, to go and do that work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The thing I love about it is, like, I love the format of it. And I decided to work with you because it's like I didn't want to write another book. I
mm-hmm.
wanted to give people information in a way that they are going to enjoy digesting it, and then it's a way that people digest content these days, which is through video.
Right,
And so
on
you
their
gave me
phones.
these tools, and you allowed me to do this. Yeah, man, I think that's the coolest thing about it, and how much information we were able to condense into this course, to where I don't think people will need another resource after this. Of course, information will change and grow, and we're going to get more knowledge, but we're going to create another course at that point, right? Or we're going to add to this course, or
Yeah,
we'll
we
find
would
that
just
out.
add to it. We'll add to it because this, once we put this thing up, it's going to be lifetime access for people, and I always update my courses. So
Awesome. Yeah,
here's the big
it's just so
question.
cool. I was just
Sorry,
really
go ahead.
happy to put it down.
After you.
No, man, I was just going to just say how happy I was creating this course with you, man, because it really is.
Likewise.
Um, yeah, it's life's work, and I'm very proud of what we were able to put together.
I'm really, really excited about it, and we're still adding content to it. This is not a we did
Mm.
it. I think we finished it like 4 months ago. It's not a we finished it and here it is. Like, I added a lecture to this yesterday, literally yesterday, because I saw
Yeah,
someone on the internet almost injure themselves. It was like a meme, and I was like, oh, we got to put a lecture up about how to do this thing right. And so
how to do it
I
properly.
don't want to go into pitch mode, but I do want to ask people if you guys want to see a sneak peek inside the actual course, see what it contains a little bit. We weren't going to do this. Again, we've never released this to anyone but my highest end members, who spend more than $1,000 a year with me. But give us a thumbs up if you want to see inside the course. Otherwise, we can just go back to questions. If you have more questions, let us know. Again, the questions have been a little sparse, so we're happy to take more. J.E. Bird wants to know if they can IM questions, but I don't think there's a way to do that because I'm not connected to our messenger, the company's messenger that goes to someone else. There are some likes coming in, but more likes if you guys want to see the back end of the course. Sarah says, keep it up. I think that was about all right. Now the likes are
Cool.
coming in.
I
Should I
have a
show you?
question.
Yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
a question. I have a question on my end. John Roach wants to know. He said, "I want to add weight and size without giving up meat." And so, yeah, can I take a minute to answer this?
Please, yeah.
Cool. So you don't have to give up meat, big guy. But what I would suggest is that you start to reduce your meat intake. And that's not because you don't need the protein to gain size, because you absolutely do, but you can get your protein from other sources.
Yep.
So if you really start thinking about it, right, the cow that you want to eat, what does it eat?
Right.
It eats green leafy vegetables, right? So it grows to its size by having and ingesting the exact same thing that you're looking for. So why not go direct to the source, right?
Right.
You can get your protein sources from so many other things: lentils,
Yep.
chickpeas, pretty much everything consists of protein in just varying amounts and varying degrees.
And getting the right
So
amino acids together. If I'm not, this might have been debunked since I took that college level course, but it is. I do know that you need different kinds of amino acids to get. Like if
mhm.
you just eat broccoli, there's going to be less protein than if you mix it with different vegetables to complete the amino acid profile.
Yeah, that's right. Branched chain amino acids. So, or you want to eat foods that contain most of these branched chain amino acids.
Yes.
So, I think at some point that might be important for us to put together a sheet that lists some of these vegetable type proteins that
We can
people
do
can
it.
ingest to substitute. Yeah, this
We
would
can
be
do it.
great to
And
substitute for some of the animal.
yeah, and just
Yeah.
today, you and I were saying we're gonna. And by the way, we got 54 likes just on showing people the course, and there's only 46 people in the room. I'm not sure how that works, but we're gonna show the course in just a minute.
Wow.
But we'll just finish this sentence by saying just today, you and I were saying, everyone's shopping from home right now, doing Amazon Fresh or whatever. So we're gonna add a bonus to the course that is not featured right now. We're gonna work on it this weekend. We're just gonna make shopping lists for people like try this, try this, try this. Here's some
Yeah.
great vegetables. um, so let's show folks. And someone asks, Chris asks, will this course be available on other platforms like Udemy? It will not. It will not ever be
No, no.
available on Udemy. This is way too much information for Udemy. And so let's give people a sneak peek, and you and I'll both be on camera at the same time. So here's the
Very cool.
inside of the course. You guys can see. I don't want to give away too much here, but I have it on another screen. You guys can see it goes into, first off, the introductions, the foundations. We talk discipline, we talk mindset, we talk about getting your diet in order, mobility and flexibility, understanding your body type, right? So someone asks, I want to be a marathon runner in the last broadcast versus this broadcast. Someone said, I want to gain size. So understanding what is the body type that you want and what is the body type that you have, and how do you need to cater to that so that you can get into the personalization of the physical fitness, right? How do you do the high intensity interval training, which we talked so much about in broadcast number 2? People should go back and check that out as well. How do you handle the strength training, right? Just going in and going really deep. Why, how, training, rest periods, sets, reps. And I want to point out to people, these lectures are designed to be short. So we give you
Hmm.
straight facts. There's no fluff. We're not storytelling here. T could tell a million different stories about, when I train this person, when I train that person. That's not my style. Some of our competitors in the industry love to tell stories all day. We don't tell stories. It's here's what the research shows, here's what you need to know, and here's what you need to do to adapt this to your own needs. There are tons of worksheets. There are tons of different resources that take this, and just they're things that you can print out and stick on your wall. Like, here's a sample workout
Yeah.
calendar. How do I customize this workout calendar for yourself? You can edit these worksheets, paste them on your wall, and you're good to go. We then go into conclusion. Now, this, I think, the bonus pieces, I think, are worth even more than the courses. People always say, someone just said in the chat, Jay said, I'm an old fitness newbie and I need direction. Ask no more. People are always asking T on YouTube and stuff, like, how do I perform these movements? So I brought a camera and gimbal and recording
All
equipment,
right, ladies and
and I
gentlemen, the
recorded. Let me
bird
just mute
dog
this.
is one of my.
I recorded him in 360-degree 4K video, walking around, catching every angle. T actually explaining like which muscles are engaged during which movements. Make sure your weight is this way. I know you can't see T, so I'm just doing all the emceeing. Here's what I'm doing. And he's explaining, you need this muscle to fire, make sure that this is working this way. You'll notice most of this stuff is, the vast majority of it is going to be unweighted So things that you can do without the need for any kind of equipment. And I think this is one of the most valuable things in the course. 74 of these, and you and I are going to add more. I decided we should be adding more now that people really can't be using weights. We're going to add more around, and you and I have to have a meeting about this, T, to figure out what the top priorities are, but which banded exercises are the best. So right now, everyone sees on screen you green screen demonstrating exactly how to do. And again, we kept these videos short. You'll notice each one of them is a minute or less than a minute.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is when you're in the middle of a workout and you decide based on the chart of movements that we give you, the template that we give you, say, all right, cool, I decide I'm going to do some hip raises. I don't want you to have to spend 10 minutes watching a video or searching a video on YouTube and then 10 minutes where some jerk explains to you, like, you should be able to know in under 60 seconds, here's what you need to do. And maybe I can play the system audio for people as well so they can hear.
Relax your head and your neck, and you want to drive off of your heels, pressing through the hammies and the glutes,
exactly,
squeezing and contracting as high as you can up top. Hold for 1-2 seconds, dropping back.
It matters so much that your weight is on your heels. Otherwise, you're making it too easy for yourself. And I learned that. Yeah. So really incredible. I'd love to hear people's feedback. What do you think? What questions do you have about the product? Should we tell them what price we're going to be doing, T?
I think they can find that out for themselves. I think it's going to be a shock. They're not going to believe it when they see it. I don't think.
Yeah, it's. Let me just say, it's half. We're offering it at half off, because we felt we really put our heads together.
Yeah.
And again, like T and I are blessed to have our businesses and have our following, and my business is doing just fine, and T's business I think is doing just fine with the books and the YouTubes and everything. We can afford to do this at half the price that this course is selling for normally, or would sell for if we'd publicized it, and we can afford to do it for a fraction of what the course is actually worth. I personally believe this is $1,000 course, and we're offering it for so much like a lot less than that. And so, yeah, I would love to hear from folks. This is not going to be an expensive course. It's going to come out on Monday. So mark your calendars. If you are not on our mailing list, you will not hear about it. So you can download. There is a free nutritional resource guide that we created for this training today. It is also included in the course. But if you download that, you'll automatically be added to our list, and you will know on Monday when we will be sending out access to the course. It's only going to be open for a few days. So very, very important. I'd love to answer questions either about the course or about anything health or fitness, because this is our last broadcast. Yeah, this is great. Jay says, I love the idea that you don't have to listen to a bunch of blah, blah, blah to get the exercises done. Saves time before work. Yeah, and eventually, Jay, the goal of this course is that you won't need this course. I want you to be able to wake up in the morning, like I did this morning, get out of bed and go, all right, I got my 3 components. I did this last week. Last week I worked glutes on Monday, so it's already Monday again. So why don't we hit glutes today? But this time, I want to do glute minius instead of glute maximus, or whatever it may be. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal. That's when the excuses tend to go out of the window. At least what I found is the more I educated myself, the more motivated I was, and the easier it was to stick to a routine. Because it takes zero brain power now for me to come up with 30 exercises to put together into a HIIT training workout.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time, but that's exactly why we made this course, and we give you the tools, and we give you a system and a format and we even give you the exercises. So you literally only have to understand the names of the exercises, understand the form and the function, which I show you. And once you learn that, it's going to be like you roll out of bed, you get your workout in. And I think that's the most valuable thing, right? Is giving people their time back.
Yes.
It's giving them convenience and giving them their time back.
And you said something I think that is so smart and just ties this whole week of broadcasts together to you, which is we started from that point of motivation. Motivation is people's biggest struggle. And what I've learned, I've interviewed some of the world's top habit learning experts. I've studied all the other ones, like whether it's Benjamin Hardy, Nir Eyal, Hal Elrod, Andy Ramage, James Clear. Like, I've studied these guys so intensely. The most important thing if you want to have the motivation or the willpower to do something, whether it be a workout or fix your nutrition, you have to make it so easy. And so what a lot of people are struggling with today is, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where to look. Or if I do know where to look, I've already watched the top 10 workout videos on YouTube. And is this the right one? It's like that moment where you have to scroll through YouTube, or you have to like go through that book that's sitting on the bookshelf collecting dust. The moment you have to do that, you've already made it hard. And also, by the way, the moment you have to like get on your bike in freezing cold weather and go to the gym, and I think that's why you do so many home workouts, right? Is like, make it easy.
Yeah.
If it's as easy as getting up and going, all right, 3 components. I want to, my arms are feeling really, really good. So I want to make sure I get in some shoulder movement today. So why don't I do this? And if it takes you 30 seconds to plan a workout, it's going to be so much easier for you to actually do the workout. You've made the pain in the ass part so easy. And of course, we talk about it, and like and everything, and starting small.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other part about it is people lead busy lives. Like a lot of people, at least my following, my age demographic, people have kids, they have families and stuff now. And what I know now, because I have 2 little ones, is that time is even more precious. So I'm very grateful that I've spent the time to learn how to manage my body, and at every facet, right? Like you want to know strength, cardio, and core, like we discussed in the last podcast or the last video, but you also want to understand dynamic warm-ups, static stretching, mobility, because these are also components of fitness, right? That you want to have at least basic knowledge of, so that you can conduct this on yourself. You can keep yourself injury-free, pain-free, or provide maintenance on yourself if this does arise or this does happen. Precisely. And we give all of that.
Precisely, yeah. Chris did ask, he said, got to start saving up, stoked for this as a complete newbie, but will it also talk about nutrition? So 2 things. One, yes, it will 100% talk about nutrition, and it's going to make it easy with downloadable guides, a simple cheat sheet, and even we'll work on this weekend, I guess, a shopping list. But I don't think people are going to have to save up at this price. Like when I say we're talking dirt cheap price, we're talking like I think there's only one product on my website that is as cheap or as affordable or as, available, I guess, because it's not a cheap product in terms of quality. There's only one product on my site, and that product is a product that's like designed to start people on a path to more, premium products. Like this is going to be so tremendously affordable for people relative to the value. I guess we can go ahead and say, this is going to be priced at roughly what 2 personal trainings would cost, or 1 hour of T's time. Like this is going to be cheaper than 1 hour of working with T. To give people an idea of like, when I say we're doing this from the bottom of our hearts, like literally from the bottom of our hearts, this is way too much value for this price, but I think it's the right thing to do. I know it's the right thing to do. I want to get a sense, give us a heart in the chat if you think that this is going to be the right product for you. And if it isn't, I'd love to know what you want to know or what you're not hearing, because we're still improving this thing. And I work Sundays, so I can get in the studio. I mean, you see, I have no problem getting in the studio right now. And I can make sure that this product has everything that everyone needs to get that success.
Yeah, and I don't think we've mentioned yet also that nutrition segments that we discuss in this aren't just beginner level stuff. We cover certainly the basics of what are the food groups, what are carbs, proteins, and fats, and how they impact the body. We talk about micros as well, and then we even go into advanced nutrition techniques for cutting fat, like intermittent fasting, carb loading, carb cycling. How we go into how to put on muscle and achieve muscle mass. We cover just about every facet of nutrition, so that there's no part lacking. Because of course you can't, without knowing you guys personally and having like a one-on-one consultation, I don't know your exact needs. So what we did was we condensed all the information that we have taken from surveys or from our demographics or from successful programs that we've created, and we put it into this.
And I want to be very clear to people. Like we're always juggling at my company, Superhuman Academy, because it's like, you have the curse of knowledge, right? If you've ever taken like a university level course in something like nutrition or kinesiology, they go deep. And then I always play this game. One, I know my customers and your customers, they come to us because they're busy. They're super busy. So,
yeah.
And the other thing is there is a curse of like so much. You can get into analysis paralysis, learning so much. But at the same time, I want people to have all the information that they need. And I am a peddler of knowledge. Like I freaking love knowledge. My whole world is acquiring knowledge. I am like a documentary addict. I want to know as much about the world as possible. So we play this game, and this is why it took us months to write this course. We play this game of like giving people just the right amount so that they're empowered to do everything that we want them to be able to do, so that I literally build my products to make people independent. And the goal, my goal is to create new problems for people. Like here's an example, okay? The Super Learner course, I don't want you ever to have to follow me about learning again. You take the Super Learner course, I want you to have a new problem. I want that new problem to be, okay, this job that I'm in, this is not challenging enough for me. So we have the Ultimate Advantage course to solve your new problem, which is you want a bigger, better job. And then if you solve that problem where you're like, well, I'm smarter than everyone here. Like I've gained 10 years of experience in the last 2. I think I'm going to start my own business. I've created a new problem, a better problem for you. Because, in every level, and I've met millionaires, billionaires, 100 millionaires, everyone has problems. It's just, what are the quality of your problems? That's the big question, right? I want to create a new problem, which is like, I got to start my own business. I cannot be employed by anyone else. And in this course, I think that the next question, the problem we want to create for people, I don't know what it is yet, but I think it's going to be, how do I uplift the people around me? Because I've now become so disciplined, so healthy. I think the next problem we create is like how to build fit families. See, this is something that I've been spinning over in my head. I haven't talked to you about this yet, but like, how do you build a superhuman family? Like, what are the values that you want to instill into your family so everyone is super learners, so everyone is superhuman physique and stuff like that? So,
that's interesting, man. Because my oldest is only 2 right now, but we are actually not passively but actively working on instilling great nutritional values and great sleep into her. We had to sleep train her. We're going to sleep train my son. She sleeps 12 hours a night still at 2 years old through the night.
That's fantastic.
I mean, this kid, I promise you, this kid, she's going to be in the Olympics or something. She's like,
That's awesome.
She's on top of it. Yeah, really. I'm so proud of her, really. And yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, and we're going to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we should do it.
And to your point about causing problems, what I focus on, and I think this is why we're a good team, is what I focus on when I create programs is I want people I want to eliminate excuses for people. So I try to simplify the information and give it to you as straight as possible, and answer all the questions before they even arise, so that there's absolutely no excuses for you to get things done.
You just described, when I say like our proprietary 8-step secret course building formula, you just nailed 50% of it right there, right? 50% of it is, I understand, because I was a problem student growing up. I struggled so much in school, and I've now accumulated all this knowledge, not just about the neuroscience of learning, but actually like, what do adult brains need to learn? Like, what are the actual steps and processes that feed information into this crazy thing, right? And it is so important to anticipate the need of the learner. And so that's what I'm always doing. I work a lot with public speakers or people who do workshops. And my job when I work with those people, it's not that they don't know their information. Some of them have been doing this 25 years, this like thought leader thing. It's like, okay, you're used to hands going up or watching people go, and you're used to being able to get real-time feedback. And if I can say, like, my zone of genius is going, I bet at least 20% of people, when you say this about nutrition, are going to go, but wait, I don't understand. And then you give them that. And I think you're right. I think that's why you and I get along so well together. I think this course is
it's an effective way to teach.
I think this course is going to be a real winner because a lot of people, 46 people, again, there's only 35 on the chat, but 46 people have given hearts. There are hundreds of people who've just downloaded in the last 3 days the worksheet. So if there are no other questions, Luis says, I'm a physiotherapist, so I know some stuff about muscles and exercises, but I'm really interested in the nutrition side. Yeah, I think you're going to love it, Luis. And I also want to say we are so open to feedback. So if you have ideas, techniques, tools, strategies that are like new and cutting edge in your field, write to us, because T and I actually read the messages that come in on my website. I don't read any of the stuff that comes in on, YouTube, that's our customer service team. Our Facebook groups, that's mostly our customer service team. Udemy courses, customer service team. On our website, stuff that comes in, I actually read, and T gets forwarded the stuff about this. So, we'll read this, and if you
that's great, I love
stuff. Yeah,
I love when PTs take our courses and when they jump in there, because they are really a great source of information and inspiration for a lot of stuff. But I think you'll be proud to know that we even use our instruments of torture in the course, right?
Yes.
So I talk about all the mobility tools that I use: Theracane, Peanut, lacrosse ball, foam roller,
voodoo bands,
all of that is in there too. Well. Voodoo bands, flossing. We talk about all of this too in the course, because it's a component of it that is absolutely 100% necessary for you to do. And especially at our age, not saying that you have to feel bad at your age, but if you've been training for the amount of time that we have, you're bound to have some sort of an issue. I mean, even if your movement mechanics are 100% correct, you're still going to have issues like you had with your knee.
Oh my God.
That a lot of people who I find oftentimes, a lot of people who have a knee pain, they're held captive by that pain, or lower back pain. They get held captive. And you just don't know that it can be a simple muscular issue that is causing that you can solve with a $12 tool.
I was convinced. I mean, I'd been to physios, I'd gotten x-rays. People don't believe me. I could show you all the x-rays. I have them on my computer. I was convinced that the cartilage was just shot in my knees because I had such pain for so many years.
It hurts, man. It hurts.
And I would take like chondroitin and glucosamine and MSM and all this stuff, and nothing ever helped. And then a $12 freaking piece of rubber for 30 seconds just made my pain go away. And by the way, if people can't see
you later.
I woke up with severe knee pain this morning, and I've been standing for the last hour here just hanging out. I feel great. So it does seem like we're losing people's attention. I think people have to get to work, finish up their Friday here.
Cool.
I do want to answer Carol's question, which is, how does the course work? Is it something we read and then do workout and then follow a diet? So basically the course is there to educate you and teach you all the stuff you need to know, but interspersed throughout it, because we don't know, we know people are going to be watching this on their mobile phone. They're going to be watching it on the toilet. Like, we don't know when we're going to hit you. And we decided pretty early on that if it's like, okay, watch this, then do this, we wouldn't get you through the course. So what we do is there are certain stations and certain sections where we say, okay, once you finish this whole section, now it's time to do T's fit test. Or once you've learned this much, now it's time to do this workout and create your workout calendar for this week and then start. But it's not like watch and follow along, if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense. Deb says, I think that was a good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that was a good explanation.
Awesome. Deb D says, I'm 5 weeks into a sugar-free diet, but also intolerant to dairy, banana, and coconut. I wish I were intolerant to dairy, banana, and coconut.
That makes it so easy.
It would make it a lot easier. It's like, it's like be grateful in any situation, right? So she loves some nutrition help and tips for a variety of protein options. We got them in the course. And by the way, this worksheet actually is, it's from the course, and you can download this. And this has our full nutritional. It's literally a list of all the things based on my years of research and T's years of working with clients. This is all the things we recommend you eat and all the things we don't. And in the course, we go into the logic and actually explain so you understand why. Because I'm not about giving you, just do this. I don't believe in that. This is why I love Robb Wolf so much, right? He wrote the Paleo Solution, and then he worked 5-6 years with clients. Then he's like, wait a minute, I might have gotten it a little bit wrong. People need to understand why, and people need to understand their own body. And then he put out Wired to Eat, which is all about a 30-day test where you test different foods, get a blood glucose monitor. And that, I already loved Robb, and he's a good friend, but that I was like, yes, like you need that level of empowerment.
Yeah.
So I now know, and again, in the course we talk about this, right? You can test depending on your genetic makeup, depending on ethnic background, gut microbiome. It might be different, but I now know, like, some people are totally great with rice. Rice is a no-go for me. It's just not a food that makes me feel good. It makes my blood sugar shoot through the sky. So it seems like people really love the session, by the way. Really good sessions, guys. Great stuff, guys. Thanks. Thank you to all of you who attended. I'm really excited about Monday. I think it's going to be amazing. My team's been working round the clock to get the website up and get everything working beautifully.
Good, man. I'm pumped, and I'm pumped to get the feedback once people actually get into the course and enroll.
Yes.
I'm really excited to hear the feedback. I think people are going to be really surprised and really pleased with all the information and how it's laid out. But yeah, the thing, my whole thing is Kaizen, continuous improvement. So as people are in there, a lot of people will have some recommendations on improvements, and then I love working with you to make sure that the product is improved.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, everyone, make sure that you are on our mailing list to be notified. And the best way you can do that is just grab the free worksheets. We're not going to spam the hell out of you. We all hate spam. We will let you know about all the announcements, like when the thing goes live. I'm going to put this in the chat. We're going to let you know. We're going to let you know when the cart closes so you don't miss out in case you don't see the first announcement. And more free content like this will be coming out on the podcast anyway. And this has been awesome. Just 3 great broadcasts that we're going to keep on my YouTube and on my Facebook that people can keep coming back to. But hopefully once people are in the course, they're going to be completely self-sufficient. Wow, this is a comment. Hold on, I got to read this before we close. Personally, you guys are changing my life with all you do. Really, thanks so much for these sessions. This is so cool. Wow, thank you.
That's great,
much,
man.
Chris. That's awesome. You're gonna love this course, Chris. And Brian looks forward to listening to the podcast. There was a podcast with T and I this week that was really great as well. So really looking forward, everyone, to welcoming you all into this course. I wish we could let everyone in right now, but we got to let my team finish doing their thing. Make sure that you are on the mailing list. You do not want to miss out. It's only going to be a few days that this thing is open. And thank you for changing lives here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Tell your team I said thank you. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the course.
All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you on Monday.
See ya.